Okay, I have started recording. Okay, so what I was explaining is anyone has I'm getting a reflection on this. Why? If you can, you're not speaking. Okay, so yeah, I can hear you. Okay, it's good. It's good now. Okay, so what happens? Let's say if you go to a subdivision here, right? You will see that many of the houses are look alike, right? So some of the houses will be okay, 3 bedroom, 2 baths. Some of the houses will be 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. Some of the houses will be 6 bedroom, 5 baths, something like this, right? You will probably see all of the 3 bedrooms and 2 baths houses have same design. And then all of the 4 bedrooms and 3 baths houses have similar design. And all of the houses with 6 bedrooms and 5 baths have similar design. So the way it works, they go to a architectural engineer, basically, and when the architectural engineers design the houses, they design it, they prepare a master design for all of the 3 bedroom house, and another master design for all of the 4 bedroom houses, and another master design for all of the 6 bedroom houses. And then when the builder built the house, right? So all of the 3 bedroom house, he follow all of the 3 bedroom house, he follow the master design. For all of the 4 bedroom house, he follow the master design. And for all of the 6 bedroom house, he follow the master design. So basically then what happens, all of the 3 bedroom house in the subdivision will look similar, although outside color will be different, right? All of the 4 bedroom house will be similar, although outside color could be different, roof type could be different, right? So that's how, like, class is the design. Remember, the architectural engineer, whatever he has designed is the class. And when they build a house by following the design, that is an object. Okay, so before you build the house, the class is just a concept. Is that correct? But when you declare an object, then it becomes a real thing. Similarly, in Java, class is the blueprint of the object. An object is the actual representation of the class. Okay, object is the actual representation of the class. Now, if you take a look in a house, right? In a house, okay, it is a brick house, it is okay, it is yellow color, roof is architectural, right? There are some characteristics. Okay, there are some characteristics. On top of that, in the house there are air conditioning system, right? In the house there are fan, there will be electricity where refrigerator will be running, where HVAC will be running there. So there are, first of all, there are, let's say, when you consider a dog, right? A dog, okay, a dog has a weight, a dog has a color, right? A dog, has a particular type. And on top of that, a dog barks, a dog runs, right? So a dog has a color, a dog has, let's say, a type. These are the um, these are the attribute of the object, or of the class. And a dog barks, a dog runs, these are the activities the dog does, these are the behavior of the dog. Similarly, in the class, right, when you declare a class, you say int a, int b, these are the behavior of the class. And the method that you do, it does something, right? These are the uh, these are the behavior of the class. And when you declare int a or string b, these are the attribute of the class. So if I go back to my Eclipse, right? Let me bring Eclipse and give a practical example here. So let me create a new project. I'm going to give it a little bit more time. It is still being loaded. Okay, while it is being loaded, let me see like, okay. So now you will see like, let me bring you some example here. Now can you see when you declare a class, let's say public class dog, right? Then you say string bread is color, right? So these are the attribute of the class. We call it attributes. And then can you see the method here? Barking, hungry, sleeping. These are the behavior of the class. Okay. Now a class is a blueprint from which individual objects are created. Now in a class where in the beginning where you declare these variables, sometimes we call it instance variable, right? Sometimes we call it instance variable, and this instance variable are the attribute of the class, and these methods are the behavior of the class. Okay. Now whatever you declare inside a class, whatever you declare outside of a method, can you see this is a method, this is a method, this is a method. Now when you have declared these variables, you declared this variable outside of any method, is that correct? So these are instance variable, these are the instance variable. Now if you declare a method here inside that, if you declare a variable inside that method, then it will be a local variable. Okay. So what is instance variable? If someone asks you, instance variables are variables those we declared inside the class outside of any method, outside of any method. So those are instance variable. Instance variables are variables within a class but outside of any method. Can you see? Now local variables defined inside methods or constructors or blocks are called local variables. Okay. Now any question on your instance variables and local variables? No. And there is another type of variable that is called class variable. If you declare a variable, right, with a inside a class outside of any method with static keyword, right? If you declare a variable, let's say if you say here static string breed, then it is a class variable. If you declare a class variable, then you do not need a object to call that variable. Okay. Now so let me go further. There is another concept called constructor. Okay. Constructor. Now if you take a look in this particular class, right, in this particular class, can you see what is the name of this class? Puppy. And inside the class, can you see this is a method. What is that? What? This is a method, right? And what is the name of this method? Puppy. Okay. Now if you see class name and method's name are same, and in this method, does it have any return type? No. Return type means if there is a return type, it will be here, public int puppy. But do you have after public, do you have anything public int string or void? Do you have anything? No. So that means puppy is the class name and puppy is the method name. Particular method name doesn't have any return type. So then this method will be a constructor. This method will be a constructor. Now, can you see this puppy? This is another method. Does it have any return type? No, right? So this is again a constructor. Now this constructor, it takes, can you see? This constructor is taking a parameter, but still this is a constructor. Now, if you have understand one single thing about constructor, can you tell me what you have understood about constructor? Return type, it has the same name as the class name, right? And a constructor will never be private. Constructor will always be public. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of constructor? So when you create an object of this class, puppy, right? When you create an object of this puppy class, constructor will automatically be called. Constructor will automatically called. Even you do not have to call constructor, it will be automatically called, and you can initialize value into your variable inside the constructor. Yeah, default, it is a default method. Yeah. Okay. So constructor, right? Can you see when discussing about classes, one of the most important subtopic would be constructors. Every class has a constructor. If you do not explicitly write a constructor for a class, the Java compiler builds a default constructor for that class. Each time a new object is created, at least one constructor will be invoked. The main role of constructor is that they should have same name as the class. A class can have more than one constructor. Okay. Java class supports singleton classes where you would be able to create only one instance of class. We have two different types of constructor. We are going to discuss discuss constructor in detail in the subsequent chapters, right? Now, so just understand that what is constructor. Constructor is a method that have the same name as the class name. It doesn't have any return type. Normally, we use constructor to initialize variables. Okay. Now, so let's say that if you come to this particular class here, right? Can you see class puppy? And this class puppy has a constructor as well. Can you see? This constructor has a this constructor is taking a name as a parameter. And inside the main method, can you see inside the main method, when you declare a variable, can you see puppy, my puppy, new puppy? When you declare the variable of that, when you have a constructor and the constructor is taking what? A name. Can you have to supply a name when you declare the object of that class. And then can you see inside the constructor we are printing, okay, past name is name, right? So whatever name you passed, now can you see here, let's say if I take this example in our Eclipse, let me show you this. Let me go to Eclipse. Let me see if I can create a project now. Do I have a class and object? Okay, class and objects, right? So inside there, so I'm going to create a new class. I'm going to create a new class, new Java class. I'm going to name it as puppy. Okay, and then I'm going to say finish. Now in the puppy, I'm going to paste the code that I have got. Okay, now, so if I run this program, what do you see? What is the output you see for me? How is it printing? Have you called this method anywhere? that puppy method, right? Remember that, let's say inside the class, if you have a method, let's say you have another method, for example, let's say public void my extra method, and in my extra method I'm going to print something, system dot out, system dot out dot dot print ln, right? And here you are printing, okay, I am printing something here, right? Let me run it again. So it has printed first name is Tommy, but was it able to print this? Why? Because we didn't call this my extra method. Here, if you want to print that, what you will have to do, you will have to call that method dot, right, my extra method, right? Now if you run it, now it will, I am printing something here, and on top of that it will be printing here. Now that puppy method, it is working, but we haven't called it. Why? Hmm? Because, because this is a parameterized constructor. What happens, right? Let me put a breakpoint here in line number 15. Okay, line number 15. Now you do a debug execution. Okay, now can you see in line number 15 what I'm doing in line number 15? No, I'm declaring an object. Line number 15, I'm declaring an object of this puppy class, right? When I'm declaring an object, see what happens if you keep digging into, right? You will see that. Can you see? First name is Tommy. While you have declared object, that constructor is automatically that constructor is automatically called. And do you have to specifically call that constructor? No, no. When you declare object, it was called, and that's why you are able to see that it has printed. Okay, past name is name, right? And you see this. Now this one will be executed, right? This one will be executed. Okay, I'm getting out something here. But the constructor wise, do you have to do anything? Line number 15, if we remove the inside the parameterized. Okay. Let me remove the parameterized one. Now it will be complaining. You cannot declare that object because you have only parameterized constructor, right? So since you have a parameterized constructor, it will complain because it is expecting that you will supply something here because you have this parameter. And you see this constructor has a, it will take a name, it will take something when you declare object. Since you do not have a like you can have another constructor, right? You can have public puppy, and then you can say, okay, you say, okay, you just type it here. You type here this. Let's say this is default constructor. This is from default constructor. Okay. Now you will see it will not complain anymore. Can you see now? Is it complaining anymore? No, because you have a parameterized constructor, you have a non-parameterized constructor. Now, if you run it, it will still, you will see it will not be executing this constructor. Instead, can you see this is from default constructor? I'm printing something here. So it has executed this constructor and this. Does it make sense? Okay, so now let's say that you want to declare Mhm. public static void main. It is inside that puppy class. Yeah. Okay. So now let's say that if you declare another object, let's say my puppy one, and then if you put something here, let's say my puppy's name is, let's say Dave. Okay. So now what will happen? You will have default constructor, and also this constructor will be called because you have a parameter supplied. When you are declaring this object, that constructor will be. Okay. Now you will see that if you run it, you will see that first of all your default constructor is called because of this line, and then your parameterized constructor is called because of this line, and then your extra method is called by the object. Does it make sense? Are you understanding, guys? Okay, so if you come here in this particular place, right, accessing instance variable method, right, you will see that. Okay, let me change this. There is a live demo, you can go there. Let me go to live demo and let me see what happens here. Okay, now can you see here that we have a class puppy? Inside puppy we have an instance variable puppy is, right? Can you see that? And then we have a constructor, parameterized constructor, right? And then we have a method. Can you see? Public void set is, right? And when you call that method, you will have to supply an age, and that age will be put in the instance variable, right? And then can you see here we are displaying that age, puppy's age. Okay, and then we are returning that age also from the method. So if you take a look here, can you see I'm declaring an object that will be calling the parameterized constructor, this one, right? And then I'm asking by that object set is, I'm supplying to. Can you see set is? This method, according to the declaration, this method will take an age. So I'm supplying 2. This 2 will be going to the age variable, and that age variable is going to the instance variable puppy age. Can you see this puppy age? Now I have 2 in puppy age. And then can you see my puppy dot get is, right? My puppy dot get is, when you call this method my puppy dot get is, it is printing the age, and also it is returning the age. So in the next line, can you see my puppy dot puppy age? When you are calling, can you see my puppy dot puppy is, right? By the object you are calling this puppy is, well, what is the value of that puppy is when you are calling that variable, instance variable? In that one we have 2, so it will be, you'll see like when I run this right here, execute, Can you see my chosen my name chosen is Tommy. Puppy's age is 2 from like when you call here, right? Then it is calling this method get age and it is printing puppy's age is 2, right? And then here system out println, when you are saying my puppy dot puppy age, that means my puppy, you will be able to access this puppy age because this is not private. If it is private, you cannot access it from this method. Since it is not private, you are able to access the variable instance variable value directly here and it will be printing too. Does it make sense to you, all of you? Any question here? Nahid bhai, Nabed, do you have any question here? Okay, now let me take this example to our Eclipse. Okay, and let me put it here. Okay, now, so if you take a look, right? If you take a look here, let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, now let's say that if you remove, when you put dot, what do you see? You see puppy is the variable, right? Int variable. You see get is the method, right? Can you see? And then can you see that there is another method set is? Can you see it? You see the puppy is variable. Now if you make this variable private, if you make this variable private, now if you come here dot, now so what do you see? Yeah, we still see the puppy is. Let me put it here. Now we can still see the puppy is because, can you see, we are inside the same, we are inside the same class, we are inside the same class. But if you try to call it from another method, sorry, another class, then you will let's say if you try to let's say that if you try to create an object of this from another class, then you will not be able to see that puppy is because it is private. You got it? If it is private, you will be able to use it from inside. Like, can you see we are here inside the this class? You will be it is available from inside the class, but if you try to call it from another class, it will not be available if it is private. Does it make sense? Okay, and so here you understand now this parameterized constructor, right? And what is the purpose of the parameterized constructor? You understand this, right? Question on this? Use the constructor by default it will take this values whatever we supply, but they're right. Yeah. Class. Yeah. So when you use parameterized constructor, when you declare object, whatever you will supply here, it will be going to that variable. And it will be automatically whatever you are doing inside that constructor, it will be automatically done even if you do not call that method because it is inside constructor. Okay, does it make sense, everyone? We make it call, right? Yeah, no, we didn't call the constructor. We called the other methods. Can you see? We called the set is, get is, but we didn't call the constructor. We declared an object. Can you see? We only declared an object. Okay, so let me go back. Now, these are few examples. They will be putting examples here. Um, what I want, there is a simple case study here. Okay, this case study, I want you to read this case study output. Can you see this chapter is ended here? So my expectation to you will be, um, what is class, what is object, what is objects in Java, what is classes in Java, local variables, instance variables, class variables, constructors, right? And create, how to create an object, and then go through this. Can you see accessing instance variables and methods? We have access instance variables and methods here, right? And then there is a case study here. You understand this case study? Couple of case study here. You understand this and show me like how this output works. So in terms of Java, my expectation will be this chapter. For this upcoming week, you study this chapter. Very good. Guys, are you good? That is tutorial points. Yeah, tutorial, I'll be sending you the link. So this is one of the chapter I want you to understand. Give me 1 second. Let me put it in a notepad and then I'll be supplying this. Okay. Then you come to the next thing, that my expectation. We have discussed object and classes, and then there is a chapter for constructors only. So what you want to do, we have discussed this constructor. You, there are some small examples here about constructor. You practice this constructor example, and can you see parameterized constructors that we have discussed? There are examples, you understand this. Okay, that's all regarding this constructor. You understand this constructor chapter. We already have discussed, you will have more knowledge from this chapter. And one last chapter that I'll ask you to read, there are basic data types. Okay, from this basic data type, you will be studying only integer data type. Okay, integer data type, what is integer data type? We use to store number. You do not have to remember any of this. Okay, any of this, nothing. You just, okay, integer data type we use to store integer data, and then we have a double data type which we use to store decimal data for bigger number with decimal data, and then we have boolean data type where you store true or false. Okay, and then we have a character type data type where we store characters. Okay, that's all. So what data type you will study? Integer, double, and then boolean and character data type. These are the basic data type you will study, this basic data type. So these 4 data type, and then you will see that, right? You will see that there are, when you go to that next chapter, variables type, right? Then you will study more about this data type. But for now, up to this, right, you will be studying from this chapter these 4 primitive data type. One is integer, another one is double, another one is boolean, another one is character. Integer type data type, we store integer values like 12, 13, right? In double data type, we store numbers like 12.25, 13.25, 40.75, like this decimal data in the double data type. In boolean data type, we store true or false. And in character data type, we store only single characters like A, B. We already have learned string. In string data type, string is a different data type. We store line of characters. Okay, but for this chapter, you will be studying only these 4 data type: integer, double, and then boolean and character data type. Char. Okay, so this 4 chapter, I'm going, this 3 chapter, I'm going to put it in the notepad. I will be supplying you. You study and basically that what is parameterized constructor, what is default constructor, right? And then what is object, what is class, right? How do you use constructor? These are very good interview question. You do not call constructor. Constructor automatically called. Yeah. When you yeah, when you declare object, it will automatically be called. Okay. Now, so I'll be sending you these three chapters that you will be studying this week. And regarding the interview questions, those I have supplied. Were you able to go through the interview questions? You studied? Will you be, if I ask you, will you be able to answer me the interview questions? How about you, Nabed? So I think I have six interview questions here, six basic interview questions, right? Okay, let me just stop recording and then we will be discussing further. Let me quickly stop this recording.